Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse, and today I'm playing with OpenMediaVault. Actually I have been playing with it, and I thought that I was gonna be able to show you something cool, but I never got it working. What I was hoping for was booting from one of these PCI Express cards that holds an NVMe drive. I was putting that in the Lenovo X3550 Model 4, which is not supposed to boot on NVMe drives. It's not compatible with that. So to try to get it working, I was booting from an USB stick which had a boot manager on it, Clover, and from Clover I was supposed to be able to see the NVMe drive and boot from that. And it could see something, and when it tried, it just ran around in circles, and at some point it just stopped doing anything. So yeah, that didn't work out for me. That was a couple of hours invested into that project, so that didn't work. So but now I actually have OpenMediaVault running, but not from an NVMe drive. Down in the server here. Over here I have a Seagate Warp card. This is actually a branded Seagate Warp card, but it has 4 100GB SSDs on there, and I've managed to get one of those drives to boot, and that was a lot of fun. Not really, but let's see what I did. So doing boot of the server here, at some point it will come and tell us that it is initializing the Seagate Warp drive, and well, it will show that in a little bit here. Okay, this is teasing me a little bit. I believe I've booted it a couple of times and it just starts the operating system. Now I pressed F12 to select the boot device, and I'm hoping that I might be able to trick it by going in and asking it to boot legacy devices. Just go there and hit that, and it boots the operating system again. We have to try once again. Seagate Technology Warp Drive BIOS. It's an old one, 2014. Should do something about that. I get to Control C it, and we get into a menu. It has to go through another RAID controller first. There's an LSI Mega RAID SAS controller in there as well, and there's a server RAID M1115, so it checks those out as well. And we are in the tiny configuration utility of this warp drive. You can't do much in here. It's a bit sad that they haven't made more things possible in here. You can kind of go over there, set the boot order to 0, enable. Oh, that didn't do what I hoped for. Firmware version, slot and stuff. But we can go into the drive here, and here we can see that boot is supported, and I have enabled it on BIOS and OS, that we can change if we just wanted to well, not boot at all, boot only from BIOS, or only OS only, enable OS only, or both as we had it before. Then we can go down to SAS topologic, go in there, and we can see direct attached devices, and here we see the 4 drives that are in that Warp card, and each of these are 100GB. And over here you can see that one of them is boot drive, and that was what I did to get this up and running and get it working. I did that. Not a lot of extra stuff that you can do in here, unfortunately. Let's jump back and out. This card changes and exit the menu. There is one more thing that you can do up here. There is adapt to a list, and then there's global properties, and then here it says that you can Alt N and you can go to global properties, and there is some alert thing here. I don't think I need that for anything, so well, I don't think it's very user friendly, but well, it kind of gets the job done. So let's exit. There. That was what I did to get that up and running. I still had a hard drive with the Server 2019 on it, and that's helpful because I was hoping to put some firmware on the different RAID cards here before we kind of put this server into production with the OpenMediaVault. So I've booted it up, Server 2019, and I've been looking at different BIOSes. We should just see this. Let's see there. We have a card here. That's the internal one that manages the drive in the front of the server. Then there is the drive in the back that will manage the external drives out the back. And then there is the WAP drive here, which has 4 internal drives. That one has really old firmware, and this one has we updated the firmware on it last time. You can see here, current version 20007, that is the newest one, but we didn't update the BIOS of it, so we're gonna try and do that today. So I had these firmware here. The top one is the one that we did last time from 2016. Then there's the ROM, the BIOS ROM. Let's hope that we can update that. That's from 2015. And then I found some firmware for the WAP card that I'll see if we can put on there, see what happens. So let's go do that. Let's try and see if it wants that ROM now that we're already sitting here. So there, load BIOS, browse, and that's in temp directory there, and that's ROM, open. Let's see if it's warning. Well, Flash current version is not available. Are you sure? Oh, let's see. I hope it checks that firmware before it just puts it on there. Okay, new firmware version is flashed successfully. System will needs a reboot for it to take effect. Okay, we should probably do that, but it is kind of a hassle to reboot it because of the primary boot device is the WAP drive over here. So let's just try and firmware update the WAP drive now that we're at it. And there is no firmware update here, and I thought that was weird. But if I go to here, there's controller, and there is update controller firmware package, and here we can see the firmware of the, I believe this is the WAP drive 13.05.10. Let's just make sure. There we have the firmware package over there. So I guess that is okay. Seems about right. So let's do that again. I also found that I can right click it here and update. So we'll try that. And then browse. Open. So that's a version 13. This is a version 16. So way newer. Are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah. If we break it, we break it. New firmware is successfully. System is required to reboot. Okay, so now we'll reboot. And restart. So here is the LSI SAS 9200, and it's the 8E. And I do believe that got a new BIOS version over here. I actually forgot to see what it was saying before we did this, but I would think that I could roll back the video and see that that version is newer. This one is what we updated last time, and I saw when I booted the server there was some new graphics, and it bragged about being this brand instead of an LSI. LSI has been many companies. Right now it's Broadcom. Unfortunately, the WAP drive here, that is still on the same version. That did not get upgraded to 16 or anything, so I think we will have to try that again. Maybe it actually did need to reboot between each. I'll try and boot, see if it did anything. So here is the 9200. It didn't used to write this, so this is new since we updated the BIOS on it. So, and we also get a chance to press Control C, but there's no drives on it. So, and it's in IT mode. This is still the old firmware. So, well, that is apparently not doing anything for me. Okay, that didn't do anything good for us. I have been in and checked the firmware and that didn't work. There is something called the Neutral Utility Management, and I see that I've gotten that a long time ago also. And there is FreeBSD, Linux, Solaris, Firmware and Windows. So we're gonna do some Windows with this. I've cheated a little bit and I've taken the bin file, the firmware, and put it in the same library. It wasn't their original. I'm just thinking that I'm gonna need it in that library. So there is a application here, and if you press Shift and right click, you get to run that. You can run it as a different user or as an administrator. We're gonna use that. Sometimes you need to do that for, I'm not sure if this is needed here, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And it finds our controller here, and we need to select that, and it tells us what firmware that has. So we need to select number 1, enter, and we want to update the firmware package. So that's number 2, there, enter flash packet file. Okay, and that's that very long one. I have again cheated and I've made another one, so we're gonna copy that in there. I call that 1234 bin, so that's a lot easier to type down here. 1234 bin, just to make it easy for me. They should be the same size and everything. It did not like that. It says that it has an invalid checksum. Maybe that's because I changed the name. So let's try with the long name then. So I can see I've done a mistake over here. That line was not what I was going for. That line was. Let's just check it. 6302 8B4030 blah blah blah. Yeah, let's try that. Involve checksum. Merde. Okay, it seems that I've been trying to put on firmware that is way too new, and for most likely for some of their later warp drives that Seagate has, and yeah, it doesn't like that, so that was fair enough. Plus, this card is an Oracle card, and they are very protective, and they don't make their firmware freely available, even though they probably just get it from Seagate and slash their name on it. You have to have an Oracle subscription of some kind to actually be able to get newer firmware. There is a hack for it. I was looking at it online and it seemed terribly complicated. So I don't want to do that. I only have one of these. If I had a bunch of them, I might do it. So yeah. So now I'm running OpenMediaVault from the F40 Oracle Flash card in there. One of the disks. There are still 3 available to do something. I have disconnected the Windows drive for now, and yeah, I think this server is ready to go back into the rack. I took it out here because it's much more comfortable to sit here instead of sliding it out of the rack. And before I can slide it out of the rack, I need to disconnect the cables, go around the back and disconnect the cable, slide it out of the rack, take the cover off, do something inside, put the cover back, slide it back in, go around the back. You get it. This was way better. This F40 Oracle Flash card that I'm now booting on is one that I got from Bargain Hardware in the UK, bargainhardware.co.uk. I'm affiliated with them, and if you go to their website, bargainhardware.co.uk, and you purchase anything, well, if you use the checkout code MyPlayHouse at checkout, you get 5% off of your purchase. So I highly recommend that. Other than that, I'll be returning this to the rack so that we can mess some more with some discs on it and see if we can get some awesome big NAS up and running. So thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.